It's not about what you are. It's about what your motivation is when you're doing it, you know.
Right.
I mean, if you're doing it just because that's what you think you want to do, but you have no solid base of what you're talking about, then yeah, that's a problem. People can see through it. That's the issue with it, really. It's about motivation and why you're saying these things.
Oh, I think that's well put.
Well, thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Which, in fact, was my dad's name.
Eric?
Eric.
Yeah.
Eric Reginald Peters.
You did, Eric, thanks very much for the call. You did one of the most extraordinary, you had a highly recognizable catchphrase that everybody around the world associated you with, and you dropped it.
I did drop it. I dropped somebody going to get a hurt real bad. And that's because I got bored of it. You know, there's the thing. It's not like music where you can, you know, like I'm friends with Andy Kim, the guy that wrote Sugar Sugar. And I don't know how he does it, but he tours around the world still singing these songs. And I'm like, dude, don't you get bored of it? Like, as a comic, I feel I'm starting to feel more and more like an artist because I understand what it is to get bored of something and want to move on to something else, you know. And as fun as it is for me to do it for you guys and people love to hear it, I'm like, it's been recorded a few times. You can just go play it back when you want to hear it. Here's what else I got to say.
How does that fact, all of this stuff is available on YouTube for free, or we can actually go buy your DVDs?
That would be better.
Yeah. How does that change things?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, you know. I mean, I've been doing stand-up 15 years before anybody knew who I was.
Overnight success.
Yeah, absolutely overnight success. It really was an overnight success if you really break it down in that sense, because the clip you played of me talking about the world mixing was from a special I did in 2003. I shot that in August of 2003, and I had been doing stand-up 14 years at that time, and I was broke, like broke beyond your wildest dreams broke when I did that. They paid me $7,500 for that, and which in the comedy world is trash, like for selling 1 hour's worth of material that you've worked many years to put together. And are they playing me off?
Yeah, they're playing you off.
Or is that sad music that I'm... Is that like, he was broke? Why don't you just play Cry Me a River? Why don't you do that?
We're going to Cry a River with Russell Peters when we get back from a short break. More of your calls as well if you'd like to talk with them. 800-989-8255 or zap us an email, talk@npr.org. Stay with us. I'm Neil Conan. It's the Talk of the Nation from NPR News. This is Talk of the Nation. I'm Neil Conan in Washington. There's a warning at the bottom of Russell Peters' website. It says, some material may offend your heritage. Very little seems to be off limits in his comedy. Race, class, sexual orientation. He's certainly not shy about poking fun at his own South Asian ancestry. You may have seen him headlining at the Apollo or at Madison Square Garden, on HBO, or on one of his DVDs, or all over YouTube. Today he's here in Studio 4A to talk a little shop and take your calls. If you'd like to talk with Russell Peters about his comedy and life in the comedy business, give us a call. 800-989-8255. Email us, talk@npr.org. There's a conversation at our website, too. That's at npr.org. Click on Talk of the Nation. And let's get a question from the audience here in Studio 4A.
So have you ever been stumped? Have you just had that moment where I can't think of anything funny to say?
You mean on stage?
Yeah.
Oh, no, then you got to quit. I've had times where, you know, I've had the old brain fart, you know, where I couldn't think of anything. And that was more of a, what was I talking about? And I forgot where I'm going. Last night on the Late Show, I didn't know how to close the show. I had gone so off of my act that I just didn't know where I was going. I even said to the audience, I have no clue how to close this show tonight. But I think it's about honesty. If you're honest with them, people appreciate honesty, you know.
You talked last night in your show about the Mumbai train bombings in July of 2006. How soon is too soon to talk about terrible events like that?
That's a touchy one. I mean, I think if I was in Mumbai, it would be a lot harder to talk about those things. But being away from a situation, it's the same thing with 9/11. I mean, nobody talked about 9/11 for at least a couple of years. But you leave America, and they're talking about it the next day.
Let's get another caller on the line, and this is Abu. Abu with us from Charlottesville.
Hold on a second. Seriously,
Hello,
Abu?
how are you?
Hey, buddy.
I have two questions I want to ask. Question number one is, I am a black man from Africa. Do you ever do black jokes, especially African jokes? And secondly, how do you prepare yourself mentally in a sold-out stage like you always do?
Well, in fact, I do jokes about Africans, Abu. Where are you from in Africa?
I am from Sierra Leone.
Ah, bonjour, monsieur. Well, see, my thing is you have to know about people. Like, at least I know you speak French in Sierra Leone, right?
Right.
Thank God. That'd have been messed up if you went, no. I prepare mentally by getting my act together, literally getting my act together. So before I do like a massive, like I go on my stadium tour next week, which is 17,000 people a show, and but I do a club run right before I go there. So I'm doing 10 shows in a small club just to get my I used to box, so everything is boxing with me. You go in, you train, you do your road work, and then you spar, and then last week before the big fight, you either go hard or you stop training to relax your body. But I'm going hard.
Yeah, must help your relations with your agent too.
Oh yeah, he's very happy with that.
Yeah,
they're never sad. Thanks, Abu. Merci, bonjour, bonjour.
See, you got him to laugh. Thanks, Abu, for the call. When you do an accent, do you work on it to make sure you've got it dead on before you try it on stage?
Yeah, I think it's offensive when you don't do somebody's accent the right way. And if you don't do it the right way, at least address it that I understand that sounded nothing like how I wanted it to sound. However, this is what I can do.
Do you have, people you call up say, do I have this right?
No. I just listen, and I keep listening to somebody, and I keep saying the word the way if somebody has an accent and they talk to me, I will sometimes talk right back to them in the same accent, just for fun. Let's see what happens with this lady.
And this lady he's pointing to is here at the microphone in Studio 4A.
From the ethnic groups you've already covered, which is the newest one you've added to your list?
The newest one is I would say Latin people, the Latin Americans living in America and living in LA and hanging out with Mexicans and dating Latinas and stuff. I think, and talking to their parents, you hear the accent, and that's the newest thing for me. I'm having fun with that one, in all respects of that answer.
Thanks very much for the question.
And thank you. She was an easy one to do because she sounded like all of my relatives.
Really?
Yeah. She could have been any one of my aunts at that point. I was expecting her to go, son, will you please take out the trash? That's the next line was out of her mouth.
Well, you are of Anglo-Indian descent, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand.
It's true. I am Anglo-Indian. Both my parents are Anglo-Indian, and most Indians have no clue, unless they're from India. Indians from India that have just recently left India will go, oh, Anglo-Indian, yes. I went to school with a few. And then, but Indians in general, when you say Anglo-Indian, they go, oh, what does that mean? So, like, you half white? And I'm like, no, stupid. I'm Anglo-Indian. Both my parents are Anglo-Indian. Engelbert Humperdinck's a famous Anglo-Indian.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he is. His real name's Jerry Dorsey. Jerry Dorsey.
Really?
That was, yeah, Jerry, I swear to God, that's his real name. Jerry Dorsey, right? And he was from Madras.
Well, I know that's a question you get a lot. Is Russell Peters your real name?
Yeah, and Cliff Richard is also an Anglo-Indian.
Cliff Richard.
As well, yes.
You have to grow up in Britain to remember.
Yeah, they always deny. The lighter they look, the easier it is for them to escape it. But yeah, my parents were not just Anglo-Indian; they were very Anglo-Indian, and that meaning you can be they're like the genuine Anglo-Indians are a dying breed. Like we're not going to be around in another 20, 30 years. Once I die, it's it. We're over.
Good.
But there will be Anglo-Indians in the purest sense of the form, being a British man married to an Indian woman, and that will be their kids will be Anglo-Indian, but they will not be anywhere near. They won't share the same culture that the Anglo-Indians from India shared.
Do you do a public radio accent by any chance?
I do not, Neil. We need your donations. Please call in now.
We certainly wouldn't want to be mocked here. Let's see if we get another caller on the line.
I would never do that, Neil.
Derek calling from Sacramento.
Hi, Russell.
Hi, Derek.
I'm sort of mixed race, black and white, and I married an Indian girl, Bengali. Her parents were from there.
My parents are from Calcutta.